He wasn't just a celebrity, he was the culture. Diddy was the architect of a golden era in hip-hop, the mogul who turned loss into legacy after Biggie's death, the businessman who brought Harlem's swagger to Wall Street. Music, fashion, nightlife, all orbiting around one name. But behind the platinum records, sold-out tours, and Ciroc deals, something darker may have been hiding in plain sight. A hidden reality, described in legal documents as calculated, predatory, and industrialized. Now, in a federal courtroom in New York City, that reality is finally being brought into the light. And what's emerging from behind closed doors isn't just disturbing, it's devastating. Lives affected, careers silenced, trauma that was invisible until now. Welcome to Woke Loudmouth, where we cut through celebrity spin and speak truth to power. May 12th, 2025, the day the courtroom went silent. 12 jurors listened as federal prosecutors unveiled what they called a years-long criminal operation, with Sean "Diddy" Combs at the center. According to the government, this wasn't a celebrity scandal. It was a system, a methodical network of manipulation, where sex wasn't about intimacy, but control, where drugs weren't recreational, they were tactical, and where loyalty was enforced through silence, surveillance, and shame. The prosecution said this wasn't a case of one or two isolated events, but a deeply structured environment. They described freak-offs, alleged invite-only gatherings that blurred the lines between seduction and submission. These weren't rumors anymore. They were now part of a federal record. This wasn't about celebrity relationships turned sour. It wasn't about jealousy or revenge. It was about power, allegedly weaponized. About women who, prosecutors claimed, weren't seduced, but coerced. Over time, over substances, over silence. And it all started here, with one courtroom, one jury, and a legacy on the edge of collapse. It was a luxury hotel in Los Angeles, the kind where celebrities check in under aliases, and privacy is sacred. But in 2016, Officer Israel Flores, working private security that night, was called to the 9th floor for something no concierge could fix. Staff had reported loud crashes, screaming, glass breaking. When Flores reached the room, he testified that what he saw wasn't a scene of excess or intoxication. It was fear. Cassie Ventura, the pop singer once known for her sleek vocals and dazzling smile, was curled up in a hallway corner, her hoodie pulled over her face, her hands shaking. Flores described her condition as clear and chilling. Not drunk, not high, just terrified. And then, he said, he looked up and saw Sean "Diddy" Combs standing a few feet away, silent, still, watching. Flores later called the expression on Diddy's face a devilish stare. Flores said Diddy didn't yell, he didn't plead. He simply pulled out cash and offered it in exchange for silence. Imagine being so afraid of someone you once trusted, and then watching them try to erase the evidence with money. What started as a security response became a window into something much darker, a moment now central to the federal case. Daniel Phillip was a dancer, trained, disciplined, working in the Manhattan nightlife circuit. In 2012, he got what he thought was a high-paying gig at a private residence. He was told to entertain, nothing more. But what happened next, he said under oath, changed everything. Phillip testified that when he arrived at the penthouse, the atmosphere was surreal. Dim lighting, slow music, candles lit like it was a stage set. Then Cassie entered. He said Diddy was already seated in the corner of the room, barely speaking, just watching. According to Phillip, the instructions came clearly: perform, touch her, interact, not like a dancer, but like a partner. And for it, he was handed thousands in cash. Phillip testified that what unfolded felt choreographed, scripted, but also deeply wrong. He said it was like watching someone perform love, under direction. Like Cassie wasn't there of her own volition, but as part of a ritual, one she'd done before. And then, he said, the mask slipped. When Phillip tried to leave the arrangement, he claimed he saw Diddy lose control, yelling, smashing objects, lashing out in rage. What started as a job became something far more sinister. Performance blurred into coercion. Money masked the power dynamics. And in that candlelit apartment, Philip said he saw the truth. This wasn't a fantasy. It was captivity. For everyone involved. Then, the moment that changed the trial's tone entirely. Cassie Ventura, once seen as Diddy's muse, protege, and partner, walked into the courtroom, not as a celebrity, but as a witness. 6 months pregnant, she took the stand with a quiet steadiness. No entourage, no stylists, just the weight of 10 years on her shoulders. Over multiple days, she shared her story, not with sensationalism, but with specificity. She spoke of the so-called freak-offs, events that, from the outside, looked like lavish celebrity parties. But from the inside, she said, they were far from consensual. She didn't just attend them. She had to coordinate them. Cassie alleged that Diddy videotaped these encounters, not for memories, but for leverage, for blackmail. When she pushed back, she said, those tapes became threats. And the impact wasn't just emotional. She described living with constant anxiety, panic attacks, and physical symptoms she believed were tied to stress, even hair loss. She claimed her health declined, her self-worth deteriorated, and her music career, once brimming with potential, was deliberately stalled. According to her testimony, this wasn't love, it was labor. What looked like romance in the public eye, she said, was exploitation in private. And then came the moment that made headlines across the world. Cassie testified that during a heated argument, Diddy threatened to blow up rapper Kid Cudi's car. Shortly after, it did explode. Kid Cudi later confirmed via the New York Times that the incident happened. He didn't accuse Diddy directly, but he didn't deny the connection either. In that courtroom, Cassie wasn't just recounting abuse. She was alleging control on a level that was systematic, psychological, and weaponized with wealth. She didn't just survive it, she was naming it in front of the world while carrying new life. The defense came armed, not just with legal arguments, but with receipts. They didn't claim Diddy was perfect. They didn't deny every incident. What they did was shift the lens from predator and victim to two complicated people in a complicated relationship. Attorneys for Diddy introduced text messages, social media DMs, and videos that showed Cassie smiling, laughing, even expressing affection. Photos from luxury vacations, birthday parties, studio sessions where they looked like a power couple. In one of the texts, Cassie had written, "I'm always ready." They used it to suggest participation, even enjoyment, in what she now calls abuse. But Cassie didn't flinch. On the stand, she acknowledged those messages. She didn't pretend they didn't exist. Instead, she gave them context. She told the jury, those words were what she had to say to keep things calm. That behind each emoji was a survival instinct, not consent, not joy. This was more than legal strategy. It was a battle over the definition of consent, over what it means to choose when you're afraid of what happens if you don't. She admitted there was chemistry, that Diddy could be charming, generous, magnetic. But that, she said, was part of the problem. Control doesn't always look like chains, she told the jury. Sometimes it looks like gifts, like opportunities, like love. She explained how control can hide inside privilege, how lavish trips can be disguises, how yes doesn't always mean yes, when no has consequences. This wasn't a story of clear villains and victims, not at first glance. But through Cassie's testimony, prosecutors argued a pattern was emerging. Not just passion turned sour, but coercion cloaked in romance. A cycle, she said, that only ended when she finally walked away and told the world what it had cost her. He was once untouchable, the mogul who shaped the culture, who turned parties into platforms and lyrics into legacy. But now, Sean Diddy Combs leaves the courtroom with more than just cameras following him. He walks with the weight of a reckoning, legal, personal, and cultural. Because this trial isn't just about what he's accused of. It's about an industry that often looked away. About a machine that let whispers grow into rumors, and rumors rot into silence. It's about a woman, Cassie, who carried her story in secret for years, and now carries a child while telling it out loud, under oath, in front of the world. What does it cost to come forward when your abuser has a net worth? a network, and a narrative that's already been written. And more importantly, who finally listens? Is this the start of real justice? Or just another rerun of Celebrity Scandal, scripted by Power and directed by PR? Either way, the curtain is up. The world is watching. What do you believe? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Like, subscribe, and hit that bell. Because some stories need more than headlines. They need truth. They need accountability.